The Galactic Accord had known peace for nearly 1,000 standard cycles. War was a memory, a tale told to frighten hatchlings and stimulate the economy of war museums. Weaponized conflict had been replaced by sanctioned trade disputes and tribunal duels. Across the stars, the idea of war was quaint. And then humanity arrived. They didn't come in warships at first, just trickles of exploratory vessels, scientific probes, and colonization fleets. The Council laughed at their primitive FTL drives and applauded their determination. Humans were strange, violent in history but oddly cooperative. Their culture was saturated with stories of war, rebellion, and unyielding defiance. But most galactic species dismissed it. Humans were entertaining, nothing more. Curious little mammals with clever tools and far too much imagination. That was before the architects awoke. The architects were a race that predated the Accord by eons. Thought extinct, their reappearance was heralded by the sudden annihilation of 3 Accord member worlds. No warnings, no demands, just obliteration. A single automated message echoed across every galactic frequency. The time of silence ends. The architects return. Council fleets were dispatched. Dozens of ships, then hundreds. None returned. Reports, fragmented, garbled, spoke of incomprehensible weapons, ships the size of moons, black holes created mid-battle. The Accord panicked, and humanity for once said nothing. No declarations, no pleas, no offers of assistance, just silence, until the orbital gate at Sector Helios 9 opened, and Leviathan emerged. It wasn't a ship. It was a statement. A planet-sized warship, spherical in design, bristling with layers of armor the thickness of a small continent. Its core glowed with an artificial sun, and its hull bore the names of every human engineer who ever lived. Billions of names, etched into titanium alloy thousands of miles across. The Galactic Council demanded answers. The humans finally responded. We knew this day would come. You laughed at our paranoia, called us warmongers. We studied your peace and respected it. But we also studied your ancient texts, the ones that warned of the architects. You ignored them. We didn't. The Council was stunned. You built this? Asked the Dralvan ambassador, voice trembling. We built 13, came the human reply. The architects didn't wait long. Their vanguard arrived in a tide of obsidian. Their ships were jagged, alive with writhing energy. They didn't open fire. They consumed. Worlds fell into their grip, twisted into void husks. Artificial gravity fields collapsed into singularities. Planetary cores detonated. No diplomacy. No quarter. And then they reached Leviathan. It didn't move to meet them. It waited. The first architect dreadnought approached, dwarfing any Accord cruiser. It extended its tendrils of unmaking, seeking to erase the intruder atom by atom. Leviathan pulsed. From its equator, a shield unfolded, hexagonal tiles that shimmered blue and gold. The architect weapon struck and shattered. For the first time in recorded history, one of their attacks failed. Then Leviathan retaliated. It fired a weapon unseen by galactic science. A beam of condensed spacetime, wrapped in magnetic rails the length of Earth's circumference. It didn't destroy the architect's ship. It erased it. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Panic spread through the architect fleet. They reconfigured, split, multiplied. They moved to swarm the human colossus. But Leviathan wasn't alone. The rest arrived. Tartarus, Behemoth, Yggdrasil, Nemesis. Names that echoed from human mythos. Each one a world in motion. each one armed with weapons that defied understanding. Railguns the size of mountain ranges, antimatter forges, shielding woven from artificial singularities. The humans didn't deploy fleets. They were the fleet. The architects, for all their might, began to falter. The council watched from secure observatories, silent. "How did they do this?" whispered High Consul Variel of the Quelsion. The answer came from Ambassador Claire Matthews, the sole human representative who had quietly remained during the crisis. "We prepared," she said, sipping her coffee. "Prepared for what? Apocalypse." Claire didn't smile. "For being underestimated. The war was brutal but short. The architect fleet, once unstoppable, was driven back. Systems they had corrupted were reclaimed by fire and fury. Their worldships, twisting cities of void tech, fell one by one. But the cost was high. Leviathan died above the shattered world of Cry 9. Surrounded, pierced through its artificial mantle, its fusion core ruptured in a final suicidal detonation that wiped out the last of the architect war leaders. The blast was seen across 3 sectors. In the aftermath, the Accord tried to recover. But nothing was the same. The balance had shifted. At the Council's emergency summit, an emergency vote was passed unanimously. Humanity was to be offered a permanent high chair seat. Ambassador Matthews declined. "You still don't get it," she said, rising. "We didn't build those things for power. We built them because we had to. You think we're warmongers because we plan for every nightmare. But if we didn't, if we'd waited for permission, you'd all be dead." She walked toward the exit, leaving a room full of silent delegates. "But the war's over," stammered the Thelonian delegate. "Why refuse power now?" He paused. "Because there are still 12 left." Years passed. The architects were gone, or perhaps merely sleeping again. The galaxy began to rebuild. Humanity didn't demand tribute or territory. They offered technology, engineering aid, reconstruction. But behind every kind gesture stood the shadow of the 12. Each parked in strategic orbit, silent and watching. Each a world that moved. Children across the stars grew up under their shadow. Some feared them. Others revered them. A new galactic term emerged. Terran peace. Peace not maintained by diplomacy, but by the knowledge that if war came again, it would not be the stars that would weep. It would be whoever dared make humanity angry. And somewhere, far beyond charted space, deep sensors blinked awake in the void. A dormant architect hive stirred, ancient protocols rebooting. Their ships, vast and ruined, trembled as new life filled their cores. As they rose once more, their ancient memory recoiled. They remembered the Leviathan. They remembered the fire. And for the first time in 10 million years, they hesitated,